FNAF is full of jump scares. It's kind of what the games rely on. Without jump scares, the series is just an incredibly messed up story about a psychotic man trying to bring his son back from death by searching for the answers to life through ending it. At least we think that's the story. However, if one person has made the most jump scares, it would be good old William Afton, the purple guy, the main killer of the series and the mother of dragons. He's also just the worst, the absolute worst. But which out of his various jump scares are the worst? The ones that I missed are what we're exploring today. Let's do it. In at 10, Plush Trap. Technically, in a sense, Plush Trap is just the small version of Springtrap, right? I mean, like, if you think about it, if you shrunk Springtrap down and made him like Scrappy-Doo proportions, you'd have Plush Trap. So the Plush Trap jump scare from the Fun with Plush Trap minigame counts as William Afton, at least enough to be number 10. I mean, a kid in FNAF 4 even says, "Where's your plush toy? Mine is Spring Bonnie. My daddy says I need to be careful with him or it will pinch my finger. He's a finger trap," he says. So that's good enough for me. He is a nightmarish variant of the Spring Bonnie plush toy, who first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 as the main antagonist of his own minigame Fun with Plush Trap. Plush Trap is a smaller plush version of Spring Bonnie. He is similar in design to Springtrap, albeit much more cartoonish and less damaged, and he also seems to be less menacing in appearance than most other nightmare animatronics. But that doesn't stop his jump scare from still getting you, okay? Because even enough to cause Eddie VR to flip out multiple times. That was funny though. In at 9, PowerPoint Springtrap. This game, called FNAF 3 PowerPoint Edition, is a game that from the description was made in PowerPoint. This FNAF game was made in PowerPoint. How the ever-loving hell does that work? Like, how do you make a FNAF game in PowerPoint? Imagine if that's how Scott released the first game, just like a frickin' PowerPoint file. That would have been insane. This is very simply a click a couple of times and then get jump scared kind of thing. At least this jump scare is scarier than the original FNAF 3 jump scare. This is wrong, and it feels incorrect. It feels like a sin on so many levels to play it or even have it downloaded, okay? I thought that the whole PowerPoint thing was a joke, but no, it's literally a PowerPoint file that you click through. So this jump scare is scary because it's bad. And the only reason it's not number 10 is because of Plush Trap. This is just wrong. Like, why would you do this? The jump scare is also unavoidable, actually. You can't win this version. And apparently, from what I was looking at, these PowerPoints are a series of games. In at 8, Ultimate Custom Night Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap, formerly known as William Afton, is a bipedal green-colored animatronic with his human corpse trapped inside, although it's not actually a corpse, although the wiki calls it a corpse. The wikis need to be updated. William wasn't dead at this point, okay? The suit's head is heavily damaged and reveals a yellowish color underneath, which may be part of his skin, maybe the suit. We aren't entirely sure, although it might also be just bone. There are also gray and red wires that connect his skin to his suit. He has gray robotic eyes and 2 teeth resembling a cartoon rabbit, with smaller, sharper teeth lining his bottom jaw. His right arm lacks a hand, resembling a broken bone, and there are multiple bone-like claws on his left hand. In Ultimate Custom Night, Afton only appears once per night, and there is a chance that he won't appear at all. When he does appear, however, the office lights will flicker and a loud clamoring noise will come from the right vent before attacking. The player must quickly close the right vent door to block him, and he will not appear for the rest of the night if you do it correctly. But if you don't, Scrap Trap's jump scare is one of the few animated ones in this game, making it scarier than someone like Nightmare Balloon Boy, who only has an image that moves around. You really cheaped out on the jump scares in this game, Scott, just saying. In at 7, Clown Springtrap. Clown Springtrap is Springtrap's third skin, and the third skin overall to be introduced into the Dark Circus event of FNAF AR. Clown Springtrap has a pale white suit with blue and purple makeup above his eyes. He also has messy purple hair coming out of his head, obviously, and large red lipstick as well, because he's a clown. Clown Springtrap's body is mostly covered by a large suit with ripped up black pants and a black shirt, along with a red and purple vest. He features large red clown shoes along with a large red bow tie and flowers on his chest. His right eyelid has also been stitched up for some reason. Finally, he carries around a very large red mallet in his left hand, a la Harley Quinn. And considering how clowns are one of the most common fears, with more people in the United States being scared of clowns than global warming, I think putting Clown Springtrap on this list where he is intentionally jump scaring you in your own home is definitely understandable. And at 6 makes Insane Spring Bonnie. Insane Spring Bonnie is a nightmarish depiction of Spring Bonnie from the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Well, not Insane Spring Bonnie isn't from the FNAF series, but Spring Bonnie is, and it's based off Spring Bonnie. That's what I meant. Insane Spring Bonnie bears a huge resemblance to the Springtrap from FNAF 3. He is a greenish yellow with many rips and tears, and Insane Spring Bonnie, similar to the other animatronics, has 2 rows of sharp teeth and steel claws. The front of his chest is torn open, exposing the endoskeleton within him alongside his legs. He is also missing half of his right ear. Insane Spring Bonnie starts moving around at night 3. Insane Spring Bonnie looks strongly like Springtrap from FNAF 3, so that makes sense since Springtrap is like the Spring Bonnie suit. But Insane Spring Bonnie was not planned by the developers of the fan game it's a part of until later in development. This is all coming from what I read on the URL, the FNAF fan game wiki, and it didn't actually list the game that the Insane Spring Bonnie was a part of, which is kind of an oversight on their part. But I mean, like, if you know, let me know in the comments. This thing looks horrifying though. Insane Bonnie comes from Final Nights 4, but I don't know if Insane Spring Bonnie is something else or not. I think it's from a game called Insanity, but I also could be wrong. Let me know if you know. Let me know. Halfway through into number 5, Sinister Springtrap. Sinister Springtrap used to be an upcoming antagonist in Sinister Turmoil, a cancelled fan game. He looks like original Springtrap, being dirty colored with hanging wires from his head, and the only 2 differences that our purple guy's corpse head is clearly visible this time, and because he's a sinister, he has long sharp teeth going on. Currently, he's not in the game, but he was planned on being in the full game and possibly in the demo. However, like I said, the game was in fact cancelled. And this guy is scary for the reason any of the other Sinister characters are scary. This time around, he just doesn't really have a jump scare, hence why I'm putting him at number 5, because he doesn't really have an official one, from Sinister Turmoil, but there are plenty of fan-made jump scares for this fan-made character from a fan game, which is a whole other level of meta that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to try thinking about that today. So since this is such a technicality, it gets the middle spot so everyone is happy, okay? Now since I put him at number 5, watch me wake up to Springtrap, to Sinister Springtrap jump scaring me. It's like, you like this? You're looking for these? It's late in the day if you can't tell. In at 4, AR Springtrap. In FNAF Special Delivery, Springtrap will haywire frequently. This can lead to a haywire chain where Springtrap will haywire up to 5 times back to back. But to avoid a jump scare, the player must stare at him when his eyes are white and then look away when they turn red. Springtrap will taunt the player throughout his attack as well, occasionally fake charging. When Springtrap materializes during his charge, the player must quickly shock him or they will be jump scared. It is also possible to obtain a Springtrap plush suit, which can be placed on an endoskeleton, and said endoskeleton can then be salvaged for parts, or sent to attack other players with Springtrap's appearance. Yeah. That's messed up. The Springtrap animatronic in this game is creepier than the original counterpart since it's just a recreation. However, the fact that it's a recreation of the killer and right in your face on your phone makes it deserving of the number 4 spot in my opinion. I still don't know why Fazbear Entertainment thinks that it's a good idea for this. Why? I feel like everyone knows that Springtrap's the bad guy, but they're like, oh yeah, here's one for your home. You get a Springtrap, you get a Springtrap, everyone gets a homicidal maniac! Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Ignited Springtrap. Ignited Springtrap is the main and only antagonist to the Joy of Creation Halloween Edition. Ignited Springtrap is a more decayed and damaged version of Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. He doesn't have the suit's lower jaw, revealing William Afton's lower jaw. His eyes closely resemble the Phantom animatronics from FNAF 3, with the exception of them being orange-ish instead of white, and he seems to have a darker green costume, possibly due to the last sighting. He also looks fairly similar to Burntrap, so much so that I mistaked his jump scare that I saw separately from the Ignited Springtrap name for a Burntrap character in a fan game, so it was going to be on the list twice. He looks so close to Burntrap, it's actually kinda insane. His upper right arm, left forearm, and right shin lack their suit casing, and there is a massive rip in his chest, exposing Afton's innards instead of innards. Get it? His ears aren't damaged any further than they were in FNAF 3, but most of his body is exposed with little pieces of the suit being visible. And during his jump scare in this game, he actually kicks you into a fire, and then he pins you to the ground and then just kills you unless you try to push him up, but then you move his suit. Just watch the clip. And ultimately, in at number 2, Reaper Springtrap. Reaper Spring Bonnie is one of the Reaper antagonists in Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken. He is referred to by the Fredbear plush as my friend, possibly because the original Fredbear entertained alongside Spring Bonnie, so they're friends that way, not like cohorting, I think, hopefully. But like the others in Final Nights 3, he's a Reaper animatronic. Reaper Spring Bonnie returns in the 4th and final game in the series, Final Nights 4 Fates Entwined as well, where he just looks absolutely terrifying. In Final Nights 4, Reaper Spring Bonnie, referred to in the museum as just Reaper Bonnie, appears in Investigation 4. He, along with Reaper Balloon Boy, Reaper Puppet, Reaper Mangle, and Reaper Golden Freddy, attack Max Donovan in the hospital bedroom. His behavior is the same as in Final Nights 3. The player will hear him moan like some weird person in my DMs, and they will have to run up to the door and use the flashlight to scare him away. He also looks way more terrifying in Final Nights 4 than he did in 3. Not only does he have one jump scare as well, he also has 2. One at the door and one for if he gets into the room. Both are horrifying, but the door scare just seems more expected to me, because like you would see him walking into the room, therefore more terrifying than if he actually gets into the room. However, if I was really strapped, I could have used both jump scares for numbers, just saying. And finally, in at number 1, Nightmare Springtrap. A mod for FNAF 4, Nightmare Springtrap is a nightmare animatronic that bears a resemblance to Nightmare Fredbear or Nightmare Freddy, as he's known throughout the community. I mean, like Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmare Freddy, they're two different things in my opinion. Nightmare Springtrap, though, only appears on night 8, the challenge night. And upon completion of the night, the player will unlock a 4th star and plush versions of Chica, Bonnie, Spring Bonnie, and Fredbear for the player's bedroom. Many of the plushes will be scattered around the room in different places, such as on the floor and along the top of dressers and stuff, but the player is able to see Nightmare Springtrap once before it enters the room. If you do see it, that counter resets, giving the player one more chance to complete the night. Once Nightmare Springtrap is activated by this, the other animatronics, including Fredbear, will then be deactivated for the rest of the challenge night, leaving the player to only try and outwit Nightmare Springtrap alone. Nightmare Springtrap very rarely enters the closet or appears on the player's bed, but the player will be able to detect his movements based on the moaning sounds he makes. I don't know why everyone makes Springtrap moan. It's kind of creepy and a big red flag if you ask me. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been in Shower Mate Connor Monroe. I'll see you in another video.